I read more romance books than any other genre last year, including fantasy. And as a self-described fantasy booktuber, I feel like my personality is in jeopardy. What's up, book friends? I'm Addie and you are watching Books and Tea Time. I have a heaping bowl of tea with me basically because I'm filming 2 videos in a row. So I need the support. Welcome to my Fantasy Adventure Series 2022 edition. I am so excited to be doing this again, even though last year's was a big whopping fail. I sucked at last year's. Basically what this is, in theory, is that I choose a bunch of fantasy series, or like a selection of fantasy series that I want to start. Fantasy series that have been on my radar that I'm interested in starting in 2022. So like I'm not committed to finishing them, but it's something that I want to explore as far as fantasy and things like that go in the upcoming year. So I made this video last year, and I want to say I picked like 8 or 9 series, and I think I maybe read 3. So it was a failure, but I have re-examined my strategy and I have narrowed it down to this year I'm only going to select 6 series, so that way I have like 12 months to read these first installments in these 6 series, if that makes sense. And I'm going to try my darndest over the next 12 months to read the first book in each of these series. And what happened to me last year was, like, for example, The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive, was on my list last year, and I ended up reading all of the books in that series instead of just stopping at book 1 because I really liked it. So it's gonna get derailed probably, but basically this is my fantasy series on my radar in 2022 video. A fantasy that I'm going to be reaching for when I want something new, when I want something fresh, when I finish Rhythm of War and I need something to read in the interim before the 5th book is published in 2023, which is so far away. These aren't really in any order. I don't know when I'm going to get to these. I don't know which one I'm going to pick up first. The first book on this list is a chunky monkey, but I am so excited to be reading it, and that is Upon a Burning Throne by Ashrae Banker. So this book was put on my radar by Jessie from Bowties and Books and Starla of Starla and Joys. Both of them have been shouting from the rooftops about this series and how amazing it is and how it's like underhyped and deserves more attention, and just pushing people to read it through their own respective channels. And so I am super excited to read this. The series is called The Burnt Empire Saga, and Upon a Burning Throne is book 1, and this is obviously a really epic long fantasy. I think it's a YA fantasy, and I mean, first and foremost, the cover is gorgeous. I love the color of it and the design. It is a little damaged because of this stupid sticker. I'm gonna have to try and scrape that off later, but we've got this really gorgeous hardback. I got this for $10 at Barnes & Noble. That is criminally underpriced. I cannot believe I got it. Like, oh, and the purple on the naked hardback. Yeah, this book I know very little about other than Jessie and Starla both recommend it, so of course I'm gonna read it and enjoy it. But basically what I do know is that there is an empire and the emperor dies, and there are 2 princes that are in line to take over the throne, and they have to pass a certain test called the Test of Fire to prove their worth and to become the emperor. But there is a young girl who wants to claim this power, I think, from another kingdom. So I am hoping it's multi-POV. It sounds like it's a multi-POV, maybe a dual POV situation. I'm hoping it's a multi-POV. That's my favorite in fantasy because I just feel like you get the most out of a fantasy story when you can enter the world from so many different points of view. It is a long book, but I am not afraid of long books, and I really do think that I'm going to enjoy this, and I probably am going to annotate it. So yeah, this is the first book, the first stop in our fantasy adventure together as we, you know, embark on this literary experience of reading fantasy books. So if you've read this, let me know what your thoughts were. If you want to buddy read it, or if you want to buddy read any of these books, absolutely reach out to me and we can make that happen. Tea has been sipped at. Okay, the second book on this list I actually don't own a copy of yet, but that is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. I have heard really good things from my family about this. My dad really likes the series, and my aunt, and they both also really love fantasy, so I trust their recommendations. Whenever they give me book recommendations, I trust them. And I think this actually takes place on Mars. The like magic system, or like the caste system of this world, is based on color, and it's like a color-coded system, and I think it's like a futuristic dystopian-esque society. So it's like kind of fantasy sci-fi hybrid. There's like a mystery element to it, it seems, and a betrayal, and our main character has to investigate that, and it challenges his worldview, and it just sounds like a really interesting series that I'm going to enjoy. I believe it's a completed trilogy. So yeah, Red Rising, we've got planetary travel, an interesting caste system, magic system, some mystery elements, things happening in space. I'm excited. Again, let me know your thoughts on Red Rising if you have read it. After that, this is probably not a surprise to many people because I talked about this a lot at the end of the year in a couple of my videos, but I really want to read John Gwen in 2022. So the next series that I want to start is Malice. The series is called The Faithful and the Fallen, and book 1 is Malice. I love this cover. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but the sword hilt has like a wolf situation going on the top. It just looks so badass. And again, I have heard every single person that has read John Gwen has highly recommended it, said that the writing is amazing. The combat writing specifically I've heard is really good, and so I am going to make an effort to read Malice. I believe there are 4 books out. I don't know if the series is completed or if there's going to be another book out, but I'm definitely excited to read this, and if I end up loving it, to continue on with the series throughout the year. I also hauled in my birthday video The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwen, so that's another book that I'm going to be reading by him. I might do a John Gwen reading vlog, or I might read them separately. I haven't quite decided yet, but you will absolutely be seeing this very soon because of all the books on this list. Even though I am excited for all of them, this I think is the highest priority because I have a good feeling. Okay, this is like a 5-star prediction moment. I have a very good feeling about this series and about this author, and I'm also really excited about The Shadow of the Gods because that one is like Norse mythology inspired. What is this about? I don't know. It seems like we have 4 POVs based on the back here. The back says, "The world is broken and it can never be made whole again." Ooh, interesting. "Those who can still read the signs see threat far greater than ancient wars. For if the black sun gains ascendancy, mankind's hopes and dreams will fall to dust." Like, I'm all in. I can't wait. Okay, number 4, the next book on this list is another one that I'm so excited to be diving into because I was gifted all 3 of the books in this series by my dad because he has read this and really loved it, and he's reading other books by this author right now, and he's like remembering about reading this series, and he's just been like kind of giving me the nudge to pick it up and read it. So I'm finally going to do it this year, and that is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I have the other 2 right here. I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of blocked, but I have these gorgeous editions with like the old looking paper and the blood stains, and they're just very like floppy, awesome paperbacks. But yeah, so again, Joe Abercrombie is a fantasy author I've heard incredible things about. My dad says that his writing is amazing, and specifically one of the main characters of this book, Logan Ninefingers, is like an amazing, like best of the best, one of the coolest fantasy characters that he's read. So I have, again, high hopes for this. I, again, don't really know what this is about. It seems like murder conspiracy theories, noblemen, barbarians, wizards. Unpredictable, compelling, wickedly funny, and packed with unforgettable characters. Going on my shelf, my TBR shelf downstairs, and we are going to try and bang it out here in 2022. And this series is called The First Law. I don't know if I said that, but this is book 1 in The First Law trilogy. Again, a completed trilogy. The next series that I'm going to talk about, I don't own the first book, but for some reason I own books 2, 3, and 4. And so I'm gonna have to get my hands on a copy of the first book, which is Age of Myth. But this is the Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. So book 2 is Age of Swords. I really like the shape of these books. Like, it's kind of an oddly long shape, and it's like mass market paperback-esque, but like, I don't hate it. I don't know. But we have Age of Swords, we have Age of War, and Age of Legends. This one is definitely my favorite cover. That's just like, wow. And this is a series by Michael J. Sullivan, who writes the Rhaenyra Revelations and the Rhaenyra Chronicles. Favorite fantasy series, some of my favorite characters. Just traditional high fantasy, funny, escapist vibes. Amazing character dynamics for relationships, friendships. It's perfection. I have a whole review of that series. And so this series takes place in the same world as the Rhaenyra Revelations, but like thousands of years before those books take place. So this kind of chronicles the history of that world. And for the longest time, I was hesitant to read these books because Hadrian and Royce are some of the best characters and the best friendship that I have read across like all the books I have read in my life thus far. So I was not looking forward to reading the series that didn't have them, right? Because they're obviously not alive yet, thousands of years before their timeline. So I was a little sad about that. But my dad has been reading these, and he says that Sullivan's writing gets better with every book, and these are being published recently. I think Age of Legend just recently came out, I want to say in like 2020. Oh no, Age of oh my god, there's 2 more after this? Holy crap. I am just excited to keep reading Michael J. Sullivan and supporting him as an author, so I'm gonna read Age of Myth at some point. Other than knowing that this takes place in the past, I don't really know what this is about. I just know that if it's Michael J. Sullivan, it's going to be epic and funny and have like the classic fantasy vibes, like Lord of the Rings-esque fantasy world where you've got like elves and dwarves and magical creatures and lots of political scheming, political drama, a lot of adventure and things of that nature, a lot of magic. So I'm excited, and I trust Michael J. Sullivan to write a darn good book. Last but certainly not least, we have the first book in the Tide Child series, and that is The Bone Chips by R.J. Barker. Yes, by R.J. Barker. This is blurbed by Evan Winter, who wrote The Rage of Dragons, which I loved, and John Gwen, who is also on this list. This book was actually put on my radar because someone took it out from the library that I work at, and I saw the cover and it caught my attention, so I like looked it up on Goodreads and added it to my list, and then I hauled it in my birthday gift haul. But here, let me just read this back to you. For generations, the fleets of the 100 Isles have built their ships from the bones of ancient dragons to fight an endless war. The dragons disappeared, but the battle for supremacy persisted. Now, the first dragon in centuries has been spotted in far-off waters, and both sides see a chance to shift the balance of power in their favor, because whoever catches it will win not only glory, but will win the war. I need dragons in my life, okay? I need the dragon fantasy. This kind of sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean, but with dragons, because you've got like this ship, this naval warfare vibe going on, right? I just think it's gonna be really freaking cool and a fun time. This is another one that is very high up on my priority list. I hope it's multi-POV, but honestly, the back doesn't really give away too much about that, so we shall see what happens. And that, my friends, is my list of the 6 stops on our fantasy adventure. You know, we're gonna stamp our passport, visit all of these fantastical worlds together. Let me know down below which of these you really want me to read first, if you want me to do reading vlogs, if you want them to be spoiler-free or filled with spoilers, if you want to buddy read them, you know, just give me your thoughts. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. I hope you enjoyed this goal-setting video. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. It means the world to me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if that's your jam. And I hope to see you in my next video. Happy reading, happy writing, and happy living. Peace out.